Greetings to the Church Business Administration class here at Southeastern University. This is your instructor, Dr. Larry Asplund, coming to you at the end of week 3, anticipating another great week of learning together. So I wanted to stop by this evening and welcome you to week 4 here in our spring term. And I want to give you a sense of what we're doing in week 4, the direction that we're going in. I want to give you a chance, too, of kind of resetting where your time management and your planning is for completing this class in excellent shape. So let's jump into it. You'll remember from last week that we're kind of in a part 1 and part 2 in weeks 3 and 4. The readings and the discussions are extending over both of these weeks, and so week 4, of course, will pick up where we left off in week 3 and will continue as a part 2. The week 4 themes are training and ministry placement in Gangal, and I can't imagine very more important issues than these in the local church, and certainly issues that continually come up for discussion among leadership teams. And then, of course, we're going to continue our look at the total quality management paradigm as Professor Hemby has adapted it to the church. This week, principles number 8 through 14. And once again, they're just very, very practical. I suppose you could think almost common sense principles, but it's good to take some time to think about them in terms of quality administration in the local church. The week 4 reading, I would recommend that you finish the assignment in Gangal in chapters 16 and 17. And then, of course, there is a part 2 PowerPoint presentation narrated by Professor Hemby, Deming Comes to Church, available for you in week 4, and you will want to probably listen to that before you do much else in week 4. The week 4 discussion is a continuation, of course. It's based on principles number 8 to 14 from Professor Hemby's lecture. And of course, the thing that you're discussing is discuss some of the last 7 of Deming's principles that seem to you to be particularly relevant for your church's structure and situation. You know, and I would like to ask the question, what would you recommend and what advice would you give? I love how you're encouraging each other. So many of you are just in wonderful local churches and you're having a great experience. Some of you have recently had a tough time, which happens in the local church if you stay there long enough, and others of you are just in a difficult place. I love how you're encouraging each other and making even personal recommendations in terms to, how best to respond and grow personally in your situation. So what a great opportunity to discuss again this week. I want to give you a sense that you can catch up. I know I've had communication from some of you that you had the flu. People in your family had the flu. Stuff happens, life happens. And so I want you to know that I'm here committed to your learning, but also to your academic success, which means that if you feel you've fallen behind at any point, feel free to contact me and let me know. Let me help you. We'll find a way to catch you up. I guarantee it. So there's not a huge amount of work to do in this class, and catching up should not be that difficult. And, as we're thinking about catching up, I wanted to just quickly review again what comprises your final grade. I know that, we kind of have mixed feelings about grades, but in the end, that's going to determine not only your, it's a benchmark for how you did in this class, but kind of helps you be motivated and set the stage for whatever might come next. So remember that the 8 discussion forums are a total of 40%. They're 5% each, or 5 points each. And so you can kind of keep track of how you're doing there. The website articles, most of you turned in great articles. There are a couple of still could come in. They're worth 10% of your final grade. Then you have a budget assignment coming up in week 7 that's going to be worth 20% of your grade, and an interview assignment coming up in week 8 worth 30% of your grade. So these last 2 items, of course, are big, and I recommend that you start working on them right away. In fact, I wanted to just briefly mentioned about your week 7 budget assignment. The assignment gives you a hypothetical congregation of 118 attendees, an income of $200,000 a year, etc. And so you're going to write a budget. The first part of the budget describes your imaginary church. So, you can describe it any way you want in terms of demographics, history, location, the various challenges or opportunities that might be there. And then part 2 will be the actual budget. Based upon that, how are you going to prioritize spending of that $200,000? I've had a couple of opportunities to serve as an executive pastor in a local church, which meant I got to oversee the staff, including the annual, one church, they called it the budget wars. And they don't have to be wars, Inevitably, I would tell the ministry leaders, I'd say, look, this is the size of our pie, and this is how much of the pie you get to spend. And so you need to prioritize even within your ministry area how you're going to spend that. Don't just give me a wish list, because we live in the real world and we only have so many resources, and we have to be good and effective stewards of what God has given us. So that's going to be a great exercise. I recommend you start working on it right away. So this week we get to really think together about the process, certainly in Gang-Gal, but also some of those principles, the process of training and placement, which is so very, very important in the local church. You don't want to just place people because you need a warm body in a room. You want to have a sense that there is an ongoing training and equipping process that leads then to a natural kind of a placement process that will be rewarding, fulfilling and fruitful for all the members of the congregation. And we're also then looking at this whole idea of team building. And so to be able to have the dynamics involved in our teams, to know how to build a good team. Usually, in a growing church, your leadership structure involves having a team of teams. And if you're given leadership responsibility, one of your first really assignments is to grow your team, to build your team. And so knowing how to do that is so good. So I so much appreciate the practical training that you're getting in this class. For some of you, maybe reminders or reinforcing of what you already know. It's really going to make you just that much more effective leaders in the years that are ahead. So anticipate a wonderful week 4. Don't hesitate to let me know this week how I can serve you. If you feel like you've gotten behind, talk to me about it. Let's strategize together how to catch up. I'm looking forward once again to jumping in, grading your work from week 3, jumping into your week 4 discussion board, and just seeing how God is working in your life. So God bless you, everybody. You're in my prayers every day. Just have a wonderful week 4.